Imagine this. You got a web application, a database, and a reverse proxy. Do you really want to type three different Docker run commands, wire up networking manually, pass all the environment variables by hand every single time? That's painful and in production impossible. In this episode, I'll show you how Docker Compose solves this problem. One file, one command, and your entire stack is up. Stick around till the end because we will even break it on purpose with a bad configuration so you see how real debugging works. If you want more real world DevOps labs like this, hit subscribe right now. On this channel, we don't install tools, we build and break real systems. Here's our architecture: Web, DB, Nginx, reverse proxy, Flask application for the backend, Postgres for data, Nginx as a reverse proxy. Instead of managing all three containers separately, Docker Compose runs them in a single network with one YAML file. Let's jump into our Visual Studio Code. Here I have episode 6, Docker Compose. I'm going to open this particular folder. In this folder, I have Flask application folder. It consists of my application.py, Docker file, requirements.txt. And on the root folder, I have docker-compose.yml, which we are going to write in a moment. Nginx.configuration. So let me start from here. I already explained about this particular application in my previous episodes. Here we are using Flask application. It's a very simple application. We are trying to connect to the database using db host, db name, db user, and db pass. And we are trying to display this particular message. If everything works successfully, we should see this message in our browser. Now let's look at the Docker file. So Docker file is also almost same. From Python, work directory is like application directory, copy requirements.txt, run pip install, copy, then expose 5000, cmd, run this particular application using Python. It's the exact same steps which we are following across the series. If you are new to my channel, please go and watch my other episodes as well. Followed by requirements.txt. We are trying to install these dependencies. Then docker-compose.yml. Let me start from here. First, we have three different services. So I would say services, followed by first service is web, which is our Flask application. Then we are going to build using .flask application. So in this line, we are saying to build from Docker file inside Flask application folder. So if you see my Flask application folder, we are going to use this particular Docker file and we are saying to build this Flask application. Map ports, in this case, that would be 8080 to 5000 port, followed by environments. That would be app secret is equal to super secret, then db host. It is the same exact stuff which we have in our application code, then followed by db name, that is equal to flask DB. Then DB user, that would be Flask user, DB pass. That would be once again Flask pass. Followed by, we are going to write depends on, because I would like to start this after my database is up and running. Now let's jump into our next service. That would be database, followed by image name. So I am trying to take the public image here, Postgres 14. Then environments, exact same steps we need to follow. Environments here would be Postgres user, that would be Flask user, Postgres password, Flask pass, then Postgres DB, that will be Flask DB. Press enter, and then we are going to add volumes. In our last episode, we already discussed about volumes. If you haven't checked out, please go and check that as well. Var lib postgres ql/data. Here, named volumes we are trying to define here. Now let's write our Nginx service. So for the Nginx service, we are going to give image as Nginx. It's a public image, Alpine. Then followed by ports. We are exposing ports here. So that would be 8080. Then we are going to add volumes as well. We are going to add our own mount file. So in this case, I'm going to add nginx config from our local to the container. So let me write that real quick. So in the container, the path would be nginx/nginx dot config colon read only permissions I'm trying to give here, followed by depends on. So it depends on web, so we need to add that. It is going to start after the web. In the end, we are going to add volumes, db data. We are declaring named volumes here. One file, three different services. Database has persistence. Flask knows DB host is just DB, no IP is needed. Nginx proxies traffic to web, and compose automatically creates a network. We are not creating any network manually here. Now let's look at our Nginx config. Nothing fancy, just proxying request to the web service on port 5000. Notice we are not using local host, instead web, because inside compose, services talk by name. Now let's try to run docker compose and see if our containers will start. Docker compose up, press enter. I see the first error validating services.web.depends on.db must be a mapping. Let's see what's going on. So services.web.depends on.db. Okay, I think I did a mistake. I need to write something like this. So let me try to run once again. Docker compose up, services.db additional property environments is not allowed. Yes, I can see another mistake, spelling mistake. Environments, save. Then let's try to do docker compose up once again. Environments, Okay, environments is not allowed. It's a typo here. Let me clear the screen and then let's do it once again. Docker compose up, press enter. Same here, let me copy paste that. Docker compose up, press enter. So if you see, networking created, volume is getting created, container db1, web1, nginx1. If you see, we are creating 5 different stuff here. If you do the same manually, I need to open 4 different terminals. Like, it would be very difficult in production environments. So let's scroll down and see if everything looks good. So far, good enough. Let me open the browser real quick. Yes, error could not translate hostname DB to address name or service not known. Okay, I see some problem here. So looks like our database did not start. Error, database is uninitialized and super user password is not specified. Okay, so looks like our database did not start, but I did pass a password here. Let's try to update exactly as it is shown here. So I'm going to paste it here, save it and close that, restart everything once again. So I will just say docker compose down. So it will remove all my containers. Clear the screen. Docker compose up. Press enter. Now let's see what's going on. I will not go to my browser. Here I can see exactly what's going on. So network created, DB1, web1, nginx1 created. Volumes we did not delete completely. That's why it did not create. So looks good so far. And also I can see database is ready to accept connections. All right. So let's jump into the browser. Let me refresh it. I can see a different error now. Error, connection to server at DB, port 5432 fail, fatal, database does not exist. Flask DB does not exist. Now let's try to debug using logs. For that, I'm going to first check the container name, docker compose, ps. I will try to copy this, followed by, I would say docker logs and the container name. Press enter. So here in this log, we'll come to know what exactly is happening. So if we read through what's going on, I can see the error message here that database Flask DB does not exist. So let's look at the web application. So the problem is from web to the database. So in the web, I have environment variables. DB name is Flask DB here. I'm going to copy this. This looks good. Whereas if I go to DB, here I can see Flax. Okay, FLAKS. It's a typo. I need to update that real quick. After updating, now let's try to close this. We try to update our Flask DB here and restart our Docker Compose once again. So I would say Docker Compose down, and then Docker Compose down -v to remove volumes as well. I would say Docker Compose up once again, and let's see if it will work now. So I did start my Docker Compose. Let's jump back to our browser, refresh, and here we are. Hello from Flask plus Postgres via Docker Compose. If you are new to my channel, hit subscribe right now so you don't miss the next episode. So finally, we were able to solve the mistake. Now let's do another mistake. So let me close this real quick. So I'm going to update the Nginx config. Instead of web, I would say local host. What do you think will happen now? Docker compose up, press enter. Let's see if we can access now. So I'm going to go back to my browser and try to refresh the page. I get 502 bad gateway. Okay, because we updated the proxy path. It is pointing out to itself. Localhost 5000. It's not going anywhere. As I said, containers will have their own local host. So if you give localhost, it will get confused. So I'm going to remove this and add web back, close it. And also if you see, we can see the error here. Connection refused while connecting to upstream client server upstream localhost 5000. So it will not work. So let me refresh this 502 bad gateway. And then now let's try to do Docker compose up once again. Hello from Flask plus Postgres via Docker Compose. If you are new to my channel, hit subscribe right now so you don't miss the next episode. Debugging in Compose is the same as Docker logs and execute. But the nice part is you can run them per service, not container IDs. For example, I did run Docker logs, episode 6, Docker Compose DB -1. So I can see the logs here. Also, the same way I can go to another service. So for example, I would say Docker logs and the service name. Press enter. So I will get the logs of that particular service. So the same way you can check for all the services. Let's do a quick recap of what we did today. Compose replaces messy Docker commands with one YAML file. It handles networking automatically. We did not create any networking manually. Also, YAML indentation errors and wrong services are common mistakes. Debugging works the same, logs and execute, same like Docker logs the service name. It is the same with Docker Compose as well. In the next episode, we will learn how to build optimized Docker images using multi-stage builds. I'll show you how to shrink image size in half and what happens if you forget .docker ignore and ship a 1 gigabyte monster image by mistake. Hit like, subscribe, and let's keep breaking things together. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.